on, guys?
Welcome to WOPTalk. Directly here from Cafe Milano's.
Cafe Milano's it is. Yeah.
I got Diego accompanying me here.
Hey, Joey, how you doing?
Good, you?
Good, pretty good, Joey. You know what? I want to acknowledge Robert Farantelli. He's doing the technical side of things, handling the camera, and making certain that our microphones work. Otherwise, freezing our balls off for no reason. Anyways.
So I wanted to ask you, Mr. Diego, honestly, in one word, last night's game. By the way, let's start off. The Canadiens horribly lost 5-1.
Yeah,
last night's game. In one word, describe to me what you're feeling.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
How many games are we out, Diego, out of the playoff, from the playoffs?
If I'm not mistaken, we're about 7 games away from the playoff series. And I don't know, I got to tell you, it was a horrible display of hockey on both sides. But more importantly, I think from Toronto, my opinion. I just don't think Toronto played. I'm very upset, not at the loss. I'm upset at how we lost. And I think that we should be concerned with, I don't know how you feel about this, Joey, but if I'm looking at things, what do you think? Do you think Carey Price is the goalie that's going to take us to the paradise?
You know my stance on that, right? I never liked Carey Price. I think he's a great goaltender to bring you through the season. However, is he a goaltender that's going to bring you and carry you through the playoffs and bring you to the promised land? I never saw him like that.
I'd have to agree with you, Joey. And here's a stat that I'm pretty certain everybody has noticed, and I'd be hard-pressed to understand if anybody would tell me that this is not true. He lets in 1 bad goal per game.
At
the very least. Either because he just falls out of position or either because he just misplays the puck. And at some point, you can't always blame the defense. You're getting paid $4 million a year because somebody thinks that you're a really good goalie and almost a franchise player, if not a franchise player. And I just don't see it with Carey Price. I'm having a very hard time.
And you said something. He lets in at least 1 bad goal per game, maybe if not more. In today's game, letting in 1 bad goal, sometimes that's all it takes.
Well, let's look at the Buffalo series so far this year. We lost 3 games to them by 1 goal. Was it 3 games I think we lost to them this season? And we lost by 1 goal. And that 1 goal could have easily been saved. Be it the last second goal, be it a first period goal or a second period goal, whatever it was, there was 1 bad goal that should not have gone in. And it's just, here's my take. Joey, I don't know what you do for a living in terms of money, but here's the thing. You get up in the morning and you say to yourself, I got to go to work. And you may not feel like going to work that morning, and we all go through that, where we wake up in the morning mentally, physically, we're just not there. But we say to ourselves, we got to go to work because we need the money. We're getting paid for it anyways. We got to do our job, like it or not.
What you're saying is sometimes I need to, with all due respect, I think all of it, sometimes I need to be pulled too because I'm having a bad day.
Exactly my point.
But unfortunately, I don't get pulled because...
My point was more important, though, is you're getting $4 million a day and you're not working every day. You're not being put in front of a team every night. Because we don't play 5 nights a week or 7 nights a week. You're playing on average 2-3 times a week. This year being the exception with a more constrained season of 48 games, so that there was the exception to the rule. But between Thursday night that they played and Saturday, I think Carey Price had 2 days? Essentially 2 days to prepare for the game, and obviously he came in ill-prepared. It wasn't a bad night. He came in ill-prepared. He was not focused. And I think that's a travesty when you think of $4 million a year and what's your excuse for walking in not prepared and not to be able to concentrate.
I don't know. I don't know. I saw that team last night and I was thinking to myself, okay, this is a team that's right now sitting in second place. And they're still sitting in second place because Boston lost.
Thank God.
So they're still sitting in second place, right? So you have a team that's sitting in second place. Toronto's sitting in fifth, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and they're 6 points behind us, if I'm not mistaken.
They're about 6 points behind right now. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we, for some reason, cannot beat this team this year. It seems to be like they have our number.
That's right.
Just the way the Islanders have our number.
That's right.
Just the way the Sabres had our number.
That's
up until last Thursday.
That's right.
Listen, I'm a hard pressed Canadiens fan. You know where I stand with that.
Right.
But are they ready to go? Are they ready to go all the way this year? I think there's still something missing to the puzzle.
Well, hold on a second. Sorry to cut you off, but let's put that down for a second. We all agree that the Habs this year are a much improved team compared to last year.
Oh, definitely.
And we all understand as well that they've bought into the system. And the system being we play as a team, we win as a team, and we lose as a team.
Yep.
And for the most part this year, it has been exactly that. If we take Toronto as a specific case, and we look at the first 6-0 loss that we suffered, the second game that we lost them, which was 6-0, it wasn't even a team loss as much as it was perhaps the fact that, you know what, they surprised us. And it was a couple of fast goals, first 5 minutes of the game, just like last night.
Just like last night.
Yeah. But the team took 37 shots on nets. And they just weren't able to penetrate the goalie, their goalie, exactly, and their defense. Having said that, Carey Price in that 6-0 loss, I think there was one bad goal he should have saved. The rest is just the way the game was being played. And nobody made a big stink out of it. We all panicked a little bit, but it wasn't.
It was the first game, right?
Okay?
So
it wasn't more than that to it, right?
Right.
It really wasn't more than that to it. But what bothered me last night was the first goal. As soon as that first goal went in, I said, come on, seriously? Yeah, it was a good shot, but it wasn't a tremendously great shot. It wasn't a shot that he couldn't have saved. He was just clearly out of position. But you know what? 2-on-1 situation, we won't talk more than that on that, at least in my opinion.
no.
But the second shot trickling through the legs, seriously, what are we doing here? And yeah, I'm picking on Carey Price, and you know what? I'm going to pick on somebody else too. I'm going to pick on Carey Price, but I'm going to pick on PK Subban as well. Because Subban's got to understand when to take that puck into the zone and start fiddling around with it the way he likes, and when he's just got to make sure that that puck goes to the right player, carry it up to the center zone if he has to, and make that pass and provide for that offense. He didn't do that either last night.
Yeah.
And Markov cannot play 27 minutes a game or 25 minutes a game. Whether we like it or not, his legs are just not there any longer for that.
Right.
He's 2 years out of it. Surgery 2 or 3 times already on his legs. The guy cannot produce more than that. Markov, if you want him to produce, he can't play more than 18, 19 minutes a game. And you're not going to come along and tell me, well, Yelman is not in the lineup, and therefore you need to step it up. Hey, you got 6 defensemen. Shorten your bench.
A glorified seventh with Druiski.
But Druiski's doing his job. So was Beaulieu doing
Right.
his job.
Right.
They're doing their job. The problem is if the veterans can't do their job on the back end, you're not going to look at the 2 kids and say, well, we got 2 kids in the lineup and that's why we're losing. What about the other 4 veterans? Because there's 6 defensemen.
Yeah.
You're going to take 2 kids on the line that don't have much experience and blame the whole. Did 5 goals go in because Beaulieu and Druiski were playing on the ice?
No.
If I'm not mistaken, what was Markov, a -3 last night?
I don't have the stats.
I don't know, but I think he was on at least 3 of the 5 goals that they scored. Markov was on the ice. So you're not going to look and say, well, we had Beaulieu and we had Druiski, but we didn't have Yemlin. Yeah, Yemlin was a physical part. But where was Subban last night? Where was the offense?
I think the whole team last night didn't
Toronto
show
did
up.
not. Toronto. They if you look carefully and recollect carefully to last night's game, you pay attention to Carlisle. You see how Carlisle was pacing up and down behind the bench during the first period and half of the second period. Because he knew they got lucky. 3 lucky goals went in, and he knew it, saw the way the Habs were just coming in, and at one point the Habs were just in the offensive zone, and they had the game down.
Right, because he knows it can't always be like that every night.
And he knew it. And he knew that the Habs were going to come back at some point. The problem was, defense let everybody down, and more importantly, well, you know, Budai, poor guy, he gets put into the net, and right away he finds himself again with a 2-1 situation. Where the hell was the defense?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little. I mean, again, we can't be pressing the panic button, but 7, like you said, 7 games out of the playoffs, or before the playoffs start. I mean, I understand we've already made it, but it's a little worrisome to see a team like that,
Up until last night, I was convinced that. Montreal was going to do fairly well in the playoffs this year. I don't know about going all the way. Obviously, I don't think we have the team to go all the way. But I thought they were going to do fairly well. I don't agree with the fact that Yemlin's out of the lineup and therefore we're going to suffer as a result of it. I don't entirely buy into it, though I understand the logic behind it. But last night's game, what scared me was this. If I'm Coach Terrien and if I'm Marc Bergevin, I'm asking myself this question. Do we have a goalie to take us through the playoffs? And after what I saw last night, it has nothing to do with the loss. It has everything to do with the concentration factor. And Carey Price has shown on more than one occasion he does not come prepared to play. And you know what? We got a problem.
Yeah, and you know what? I always said it. Carey Price is starting to remind me a lot like the Luongo.
Yeah.
The Luongo that could take you through the season, who's going to make you get into the playoffs. However, once into the playoffs,
he chokes.
He chokes. So he's not the playoff player, right?
He chokes.
And you know what, Diego, you can probably disagree with me. I don't like the guy no more probably than any of us here. But a guy like Tim Thomas is throughout the year probably won't do nothing. He's gonna split the season between him and Tuukka Rask. However, come in the playoffs and he elevates his game. You may hate it, you may not agree with it, but that's the type of goalie that we need.
I don't think that there's one hockey fan. I don't care who you root for in hockey. I don't believe for 1 second that you will deny that Boston won the Stanley Cup because of Tim Thomas. Similarly, Quick was the reason Los Angeles won the Stanley Cup last year. Yes, the team in front of him played well, but Quick made the saves when the saves needed to be made.
Yeah.
Patrick Roy made the saves when the saves needed to be made. Martin Brodeur is 41 years old. He's worn, he's torn out, that's it, it's done. You don't crap on the guy. But no way on earth in New Jersey, I don't care what style of hockey they play, and I don't care if you had 18 Kovalchuks in that team, without a Marty Brodeur in nets that comes in to play and is able to play, more importantly, Jersey ain't going to win. In other words, no team has ever won a Stanley Cup without a great goalie.
Absolutely.
Call it Bernie Perrin of the 70s with Philadelphia. Call it Ken Dryden of the 70s. Call it Billy Smith of the Islanders in the early 80s. Call it
Grant Fuhr
of the Edmonton Oilers. What a great team the Edmonton Oilers had. But if Grant Fuhr didn't show up to play, have yourself a nice day. It just wasn't going to happen. And so I'm looking at the Habs now and I'm saying, really? We're going 4 years on with Carey Price. What's the excuse for him not producing still? He's a top 5 goalie in the league. You say, oh my God, he's a top 5 goalie.
Do you know that he's being considered for the starting goaltender in the Canadian in the Olympics for the Canadian team?
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's put him in there, and he'll give 2 bad goals up against the Finns or the Swedes or whoever it is. Seriously, who else are you going to choose? Because there is no other goalies. That's the other issue that we have.
Canadian goalies?
Yeah, who's there that you're going to put in nets for Canada? Luongo again? Do you know why Luongo wasn't traded? Yeah, his contract has a lot to do with it.
No, but he's willing to
probably renegotiate that contract.
He's willing to lift the clause.
Okay, let's go one step further. I would bet any money, and I don't need inside information on this. I just go straight on logic. And hey, to all you TSN folks out there that maybe by some fluke listen to this, that all you hockey experts know this crap, I would bet any money. Most GMs would say, Roberto Luongo, good goalie for the season. Come playoff time, I'm going to take a hit, and I got to pay this guy 40, 50, whatever it is, his contract is, $1 million a year. And then come playoff time, we're going to lose in 6 or we're going to lose in 7 because he didn't show up. Because he doesn't show up.
He doesn't.
So here we go. If I'm Michel Terrien, I'm saying to myself, I'm going into the playoffs, a whole season of change the culture, a whole season of we play as a team, and now I come to find out at the end of the damn season, I don't have a goalie to go into the playoffs with.
Right. And now again, I think I don't think we should really be pressing on that alarm button. But it is something it is food for thought. He's last night was definitely not something we wanted to see. Maybe 2 weeks out of the playoffs, it's not what we wanted to see. It's a little troublesome. Let's see how he rebounds from this.
Okay, the last game we played Boston, we won. Who went the nets? Carey Price started. Not the Saturday game, the one before that, where Montreal had to come back and win it in overtime in a shootout and a 6-5.
Budaj ended up in nets.
Right.
In the third period.
Where was Carey Price? Big game. You're
On the
playing,
bench.
You're playing for your division. You're playing for
On
a
the
top
bench.
spot. And where was he? He lets in 4 bad goals, and Teddy says, we're pulling him out. And if you watch the series, 24 CH, you see Teddy coming along saying, it's not Price's fault, but we're pulling him out. Okay, it's not his fault. We're pulling him out. Well, let's put Budaj in nets. But yet the Habs do respond with Budaj in nets.
Yeah.
Last night, they weren't able to respond. Why? Because by the time they pulled out Carey Price, the legs had been taken away from the team. There just wasn't any legs anymore. Their spirit had been completely broken. And you know what? When you take that and you combine it with the fact that there's a Toronto team that all of a sudden goes into a shell, because that's Randy Carlyle, that's his game. He's a defenseman as a player.
Yeah.
And he comes along and he puts his team in a defensive shell. And all of a sudden, what do you get? You get a team that's trying to catch up. And Toronto started fiddling with us last night. Hey, that hit Kadri on Gallagher, if that wasn't a penalty with a 4-mile hit straight to the head, I didn't see it as a clean hit. But that just showed exactly how the game was going last night.
Yeah.
And Gallagher took it. Gloves in the face, which during the season was a penalty. All of a sudden, no, it's not a penalty anymore.
And you know, Gallagher took a few hits. On Thursday night, he took another hit against Calera from the Sabres.
Yeah.
And you know, if you noticed, he did a veteran move. He was skating away. Darren was in front of him. He tapped him with the stick, saying, "Don't worry, I can handle it." Then, as soon as the whistle went, out goes Bouillon, drops the gloves against. No, it was Orr. Sorry, not Calera. It was Orr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ott.
Sorry, not Orr. Ott. Pardon me.
Because Orr's with Toronto.
Yeah. Ott. It was Steve Ott.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this kid could take hits. I mean,
he can take it, but
yeah.
You know what? I wanna switch it a little bit. And last night's game, and then you wake up Sunday morning and you go to the famous Toronto Sports Network, better known as TSN, and their biggest concern in Toronto is the likelihood of the Montreal Canadiens playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of the playoffs. In what world do these guys live in? 6 points behind. You're telling me Montreal's going to lose the next 7 games straight?
No. The reason they're saying that is because if they hover between second and fourth, because Boston takes over second place, Montreal would take fourth, Toronto ends up in fifth. They play one another.
I got a question to ask you.
Yeah.
You have a 2-2 tie game between Boston and Carolina, and you lost the game 4-2. And here's Boston's problem. If Bergeron and Marchand don't come back to play anytime soon, Boston ain't going anywhere. They lost last night to Carolina, which should have been an easy win for them.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And they lost it.
That's how they're saying that because it's hovering between.
Fine. So TSN starts saying that the only guy I respected this morning out of everybody that was speaking in there was Dave Hodge when he said, well, if Price had shown up to play, or paraphrasing it, if Price had shown up to play, we're not so sure that game would have gone that way last night. Right? And yet, you got these guys talking about Toronto showed their physicality and they can stand up to the Montreal Canadiens and they slowed them down. Where's the physicality when you know that you don't have a goalie that's going to be able to make one stop, one save that's going to make the difference in the game? Reimer didn't have to make any great saves. Why? Because by the time the Habs got their act together, the game was over.
The game was over. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
By the time the Habs got their act together, the game was over.
Definitely, I agree.
Okay, and so now we can talk about major injuries. Armstrong is definitely we're affecting. We see it that we're missing Armstrong. We see that we're missing Armstrong. We're missing a Yemlin. We see that those injuries are starting to hamper us. So where was Ryan White? Why wasn't Ryan White being played last night? Because why? Why? You're playing a tough physical team. You need a guy like Ryan White that, as much as he's tempered,
because Ryan White this year has shown a few times that he was very indisciplined.
We agree.
And Michel Therrien does not like that.
Okay.
As I said at the beginning of the season, Michel Therrien is a very disciplined coach, and he coaches in that style. It's his way or the highway. You don't want to play a disciplined hockey and style hockey with with Michel Therrien, he's gonna bench you, no matter who you are. You could be the Brian Gionta. You're not following his game. He'll fucking bench you.
So you'd rather have a Bouillon step up and get into a scrap who's your defenseman,
Yeah.
that God forbid he gets hurt, and now you're really in a cookie, okay? Then a Ryan White who's not disciplined as much as he should be, who could stand up against these guys like a or whoever else, okay, on that Toronto team last night. And so I'm saying I don't want to question Therrien. I think we know that Therrien's a good coach. Everybody in hockey knows he's a good coach, and everybody knows he understands his game as well as anybody out there. And let's not forget that he was maybe a step and a half away from winning a Stanley Cup with Pittsburgh before he got fired.
Yep.
Otherwise, he would have been the coach to win a Stanley Cup with that team. He made one mistake. That one mistake was you don't call out a player like Crosby or Malkin in the media. That was his mistake. But he did it out of sincerity. His heart was in a good place when he said it. It's just that, unfortunately, in hockey and in all sports, you don't touch the best player in the world in front of the media. But take that away, I have to question. Therrien went in with sincerity last night. He said, I got the team. My team is there. There's no reason for us to falter tonight.
Right.
And then some guy didn't show up to play hockey last night. Right? Some guy didn't show up to play hockey.
Let's see how they rebound from this.
We're playing Philadelphia tomorrow night. What do you think Philadelphia's role right now is? We're going to make the playoffs.
Spoiler. No, they're playing spoiler.
Right. So Philadelphia tomorrow night's coming into play. It's tomorrow night the game, Monday night, right?
Yeah.
They're coming into play Montreal. And what they're going to do is let's just fine-tune ourselves and get ready for next season. We're not here to make sure that Gallagher gets hurt or Galchenyuk gets hurt or Markov gets hurt. We're not here to hurt these guys. We're here to just fine-tune ourselves. We're going to prepare ourselves with Mason and Nets, and we're going to show that Philadelphia is coming back with a storm next season. They're not here to hurt us at all. Tomorrow night, this is where I say, and I have to agree with what Chris Nyland had said prior to the Saturday night's game last week against Boston when he said, I wouldn't want to play Galchenyuk against the Bruins because it's going to be one of those games where he might get hurt because he's too young. Well, tomorrow night, I think Galchenyuk should not play because I think a kid like Galchenyuk or even a Gallagher is going to get hurt. And because of last night's game, Therrien doesn't have a choice because you can't afford to lose another game now.
I know. So
what do you do? What do you do?
You play. I would play Galchenyuk.
Okay. So, I'm passionate. I'm very passionate about it. I don't care about losing the game. If Montreal would have lost 3-1 in a hard-fought battle game, you lost. They were the better team. Nothing you can do. That's life. You lose because you're not prepared. You lose because you're not focused. That's just unacceptable for me. Period. It doesn't matter whether I'm a Habs fan, Oilers fan, what kind of fan. It makes no difference. With the contracts that are in place today, I expect professionalism. Professionalism, you show up to play every night. You want to have a bad night? Hey, one bad night out of 48 games, ain't nobody going to say a word. One bad night. Carey Price has been pulled out 4 times this season or 3 times?
At least, yeah.
$4 million a year goalie, and they pulled you out 4 times in one season. And how many times did they pull out Marty Brodeur in 20 years that he's played? How many times? Twice?
Probably the same amount of times, but over 20 years.
But over 20 years.
Yeah.
This guy 4 times in one season. And we're talking about playing into the playoffs, and we're talking about we got ourselves a good team.
We definitely agree we definitely agree that he's not the guy who's going to take us to the promised land.
He's definitely not taking us nowhere. I know he's going to take us Shea Mado, but even there, I'm not so sure. I ain't so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that one. Because I'm thinking even Shea Mado, he gets to the door, they're going to say, I'm sorry, go somewhere else. There are lesser clubs.
Vedi che via da farle.
Minga bro in the teeth, they got to take it, So I think it was just unfortunate to see the Habs having to subject themselves to a humiliation like they did last night.
Well, hopefully, folks, they can rebound from this and give us a better performance tomorrow night.
So, as we reminisce and speak about last night's game, moving forward, we're playing Philadelphia tomorrow night. I would start Budaj in nets. I would think that at this point in time, we should take our chances and just go the next 3-4 games with Budaj in nets.
In the hopes of what? sparking something with Price?
First of all, yeah, showing Price that maybe needs a break. So let him get his mental and physical break in sync, and so that he can be better prepared. Prepare him for the playoffs. We've made the playoffs. Now we're just playing for position, right? So do we play for pride and say we want to stay in second place, or we just say let's play and fine-tune? This is the opportunity that the Habs should be taking, in my opinion, very humble opinion, to fine-tune themselves for the playoffs.
Right, because they know they meet. Yeah, the thing is, though, you don't want to end up in 8th place either.
Absolutely not.
Right, because you're always going to be the,
But you're not going to convince me that we're going to end up in 8th place because Buda's in that. That I'm sorry. I disagree with that entirely. Is Budaj maybe not a number one goalie? Well, yeah. I think Buda is a great second goalie, and I think that Budaj can hold himself, and I think so as well. And I say, you know what? You're not going to convince me either that if you put Price in nets tomorrow night, Montreal's going to win because Price is in nets.
No.
There's a defensive issues, there are forward issues, there's all kinds of issues right now.
By the way, for us Wops, is it Budaj or is it Budaj? Because we don't have the J, so it's got to be Budaj.
I penso che sono Budês, but that's another story. I mean,
che cazzo sono cinesi?
No, but I think his name is Pietro Budês. He's a Sicilian guy his parents immigrated to Slovakia because they heard there was a lot of money to be made there, and they fucked up. So he's.
So what? You're telling me he's supposed to be a fucking Jap?
No, he's Italian. His name is Pietro Budaj.
Yes.
His name is Pietro Budaj, and he ended up. No, I'm not gonna make fun of Peter Budaj. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's a good goalie. You see his hands shake a lot because of the massive porn that he watches on the rant. But I mean, he's doing all right. He's doing all right. He does his thing. He does his thing. So, but I mean, this is where we are. So, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Yep. It was really fun. We're freezing our asses off.
And let's hope the Canadians could, turn around from this.
They're going to turn around. They're going to be fine. We're just upset because of the way we lost. But I don't, I agree with you. I don't think it's, sound off the panic button and we're in trouble. But I also do believe that.
It's definitely food for thought, though. I mean, it's, a lot of people were like, I don't know, but,
I'll tell you what. The last few games, Montreal has shown some sort of tiredness. And I think that they need to regroup. And I think the coaching staff is aware of it. And I would think that at this point in time, just slow everything down a bit. Don't have to go out there and just win the game. And if you have to play defensively most of the game, and just to give yourself a break, and just get ready. Basically, is what you got to do now. You got 7 games to go. Just get ready to play the 7 games and get into the playoffs. And it's a new season, and in the playoffs, anything and everything can happen. But having said that, it's going to be hard pressed to. I think it's going to be hard pressed to see the Habs go further than that, and even maintaining second place, if they're not going to get some sort of consistency from the defensive end. So there's questions to be asked. Do we stay with Beaulieu and Duriski and don't bring Tenardi in? Do we shorten the defense and do we shorten the bench altogether to make a point? And there's options that have to be looked at. Last night I think could have been done as well, where after that happened, the first 3 goals went in.
What, you want to shorten what?
They should have shortened the bench a little bit,
Defensively or offensively?
Offensively.
Both. Offensively?
Yeah, and they should have shortened the bench. So, excuse me. Thank you very much. Welcome once more. Thank you for having joined us, and see you at the next hopscotch, and hopefully it'll be a better one.
So hopefully you'll give us your Diego report sometime
Yeah,
soon.
Next week, folks, I'll be starting my first editorial, and it'll be on Madame Pauline Marois in Bill 14, and we'll take it from there. You
Excellent.
Take care. Good night, Joey. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Diego. Thanks for joining us.
So thank you for inviting me. Be good.
Signing off, folks. Good night.
Take care. Good night.